Welcome today to our class. Today we're going to be talking about blogs and content writing, and we're going to really talk mostly about writing better blogs and content. And we're going to talk about some cool ways that you can find out what content people really want to understand that you can write about, and how to find topics that you want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a few things that are kind of fun that I have learned over the last little bit of figuring out what people are looking for. And I'm going to pull up, let me get a window open here for YouTube. And then I'm going to open another window for Google, because those are two things that we're going to be using today. And I'm hoping that that will help you figure out some things. Now, I'm going to be giving some examples. If you have if you have examples or things that you would like me to ask about, then let's discover that. So I've got a few people on here. And so if you have a topic or similar, something similar to you, then let me know. And I'll be glad we can explore that. So I'm going to first start off with going to YouTube. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay, you can see YouTube is here. Sorry, I've got a tickle in the back of my throat all of a sudden. Let me take a drink real quick. It's funny how they watch what you're looking at, and then they put together what they think is the right things for you here. This is fun. But I'm going to do something here that I like to do when I'm looking for something. Now, I'm working with a lot of different companies, and I was working with one the other day, and I thought this was I thought it was interesting what we found. Okay, so I'm working with a company called Woji, and what they do is they're an alternative to taking credit cards, and it cuts down the fees that you pay down to about 0.5%. And then you can do all kinds of other things with it with Woji, because they have 3 different things that they do with Woji. They have a program where they are cutting down your credit card fees. They have another one where they do away with collections, and you can make it a win-win for everybody, including yourself and the customer, so that you get paid correctly or on time or when according to a contract. And then the third one that we do, or they do, is they also have a program where you can start making the money that financial institutions and banks would have made, and credit card companies, from your customers. And he has found, the guy who owns this and is running this has done some big things. He makes as much money from the interest as he does from what he sold the products for. And so that's a good way of doing it. And that's what the interest is doing when you're sending it on to a credit card company. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. What I want to talk about is on my on YouTube, I wanted to write something that would grab people's attention. And I wanted to find what people are searching for on there that we can write the article about. So if I look up merchant, I guess I got to spell it right, merchant services. Okay, now you'll notice there's a whole bunch of things that are coming up here that start with merchant services. Let's say instead of merchant services, you want to, let's see here. Let's drop that off. Merchant, actually, let's go to eliminate merchant fees. Oops, I gotta get rid of services in there. Okay, now one of the things that happens with this, let me pull this back a little bit, is as you start putting things in here, it'll start putting suggestions up. So I'm going to go to lower credit card. And then you'll notice as you're getting going with this, if you're doing something like this, you'll lower credit card interest, how to lower credit card debt, utilizations, interest rate, credit. Let's go fees. Now, once you get too long tail, it starts eliminating them and you don't see them as much. But one of the things that we did with one of our other programs that we have is it started giving me some great information about what we could do with that. But I'm going to show you another one. I did this social media. What are people asking about? What this does when you start seeing these things, it's trying to anticipate what you're going to be putting in there or would like to put in there. So you can just click on it and say social media manager or social media marketing. And it's going to give you some things there. But the key is with this is what kind of articles are being written about it for social media marketing. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to bypass anything that's an ad and how to start social media marketing. Okay, how to develop a social media. Now, these are things that are already being written about. How to develop a social media strategy step by step. Okay, and you'll see this is probably their videos that this person has put out. Of course, with Neil Patel, he does the same thing. He has videos. Neil Patel, you'll see a lot on this particular one because he does a lot with it. And here he is again. But you'll see there's all kinds of things here that people have already done. But what if you don't see exactly the one you want to write about? And I'm going to go back to what I wanted to show. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Google and I'm going to put in how can I lower my credit card fees without charging my customer? Okay, so this is a very, very long keyword, a long tail keyword. Now I'm skipping all of the ads because the ads are only they don't really match it specifically anyway. But you'll notice here, the first one is 5 tricks to lower your credit card processing fees. And then the next one is 7 ways to lower credit card processing fees. It shows you a bunch of them in here that are that can go along with it. But one of the key things is, as you're going through this, it'll start giving you, if no one has exactly what you just wrote in here, how can I lower my credit card fees without charging my customers? If there isn't one of those in here, you can actually create a video or write a blog about that. And then when somebody puts in that exact long tail keyword, you're going to be the one that they put right here after the ads. That you'll be the one right here. And this is the closest one to it that they have. Let's change this down to just how to lower my credit card fees. Okay, and see what we get here. 5 tricks. Now you'll notice this guy is still the #1 there. But down here, some of these are new as well. They're different. There's a few of them, like this one's in there. This was in there. That one was not. I don't remember that one, but this gives you an idea of ways of figuring out what people are looking for. Now, you'll notice here, people also ask. That's the key I want you to look at. Can I pass credit card fees to customers? Okay, how can I reduce my credit card merchant fees? So that it's a little different than what I did it. So if I put in this, then it's going to give me 5 ways to lower your credit card processing fees, and it talks about that. But these are things that people are asking, and if there isn't somebody who's in here giving these, then you can go and write exactly an article about this. And when you put that as the keywords on the title of it, then that's going to give you an advantage, and you're going to start showing up higher on your social media, and or not on your social, on your SEO and on other things. So it's important to find exactly what people are asking for. Now, I happen to have a program that goes in and evaluates this from several different sources, including Google and Yahoo and YouTube. And then it also looks at some competitors that are in that industry, because you put in what industry it's in and see what they're writing about. And then it can also give you some other insights, like who is buying what, how much, how many times is this being done? You know, like this one, how can I lower my credit card fees? Actually, how can I reduce my credit card merchant fees is one that gets a lot of hits. And then if you take that, let's take that, and I'm going to put that in here instead. And without charging my customer. Okay. When you go into that, you've got you've got him still, but you know, it shows you all of these that are there, but it shows you also others that are close to it, but none of them are exactly the same. And so look for some where you know no one else is doing it. Now, I'm going to also tell you, if you make a video about it and you put that video in here in YouTube, and it has that exact name of it, of the article, or the, in that case, the video, it will help you so that you can become the top one here in this area. We've got some that we're the number one on the first page of Google, and we got there after one day of being up. And so these are really good things to have, to know. And it is all about writing it exactly to what the customer is looking for. And then Google will pass it on and show people that, either by going to YouTube or to your website, or to your, if you do a mini blog on one of your Facebook or Instagram accounts, they'll send the people to it when they ask the exact question you're looking for. So that's one of the ways you want to do to find that. A couple other things that is very important, especially when you're looking up things on YouTube, is you want to have it so that you have a cover. And a cover is the static image that you have, and you can have it so that it looks the same a lot of the times, but you'll notice Neil Patel, his is different every time. There are some times when it's similar, but he tries to change his up all the time. And there's a good reason for that. He wants people to recognize that this is a different article than the last one he wrote, even if it's about a similar thing. You'll notice Neil Patel is in here an awful lot in this, but he has different ones here. But he has a couple things that he does all the time. He always has an image of himself. He always has Neil Patel over here on the side. However, up here, this one, it did not, because he was trying to break out of that. And he does this about every 6 or 8, sometimes 10 times. He'll do something like this. And in this particular case, it's been 3 years ago that he wrote this one and did this video. So it's interesting. And it's the highest ranked one because it's got 573,000 views. So the more views you have, the more you're going to show up. But that's not always the case. Look here, here's got one that's 1 million views. And here, this person has 96,000 views, and hers is showing up above his, mainly because social media marketing showed up in hers more than it did in his. So you see social media marketing here. Here, social media marketing is strong, and it's how to start it. And it also depends on the business itself and how strong their video on, or not the video, the YouTube channel is on YouTube. And so, and they also don't like to have him show up every single time. So they mix it up quite well. But you'll see here, here's one is 1.75 million views. And why does that not get higher priority? And there's a few reasons for it, and it's part of their algorithm. In fact, it's their SEO score that I just pulled up here, right here. It only has 80 out of 80, which is great. But if you get down here, title length, 0 out of 10. It doesn't really cover what you're looking for. It has marketing and it has social media, but it's not together. And so this is why this one didn't show quite as well. So anyway, this gives you some ideas of what to look for. Now, if you have any ideas or things you would like to have us look at, I'd be glad to do that. I'm going to actually bring one of my other programs down here to this social, if I can get it to come. Okay, let's see here. Come on. It won't let me bring it into here. There it goes. Okay, so I want to bring in this. This is one of my programs called Blaster Online. What this does is I can put in keywords here. And so I was just doing one on retiring military, but let's put in something. Let's say you're doing business coaching and you want to find out. I'm going to go in just the United States and only English. You can choose other languages and you can choose the world, or you can choose languages on its own. So whichever you would prefer. So I'm just going to do this, but by doing this, it brings it up, and here are the top things that it says I can go in and compete on. So here is YouTube competitors. There isn't how to start a coaching business online. Okay, if that's what you're looking for, then they can get into it. Now there's actually 8 million competitors on there, and the monthly volume is about 1,000 people looking for it. So this is very competitive. However, putting this exact name in there, by having it say it's recommended 100%, it's telling me that these 8 million, while they may be going after that particular market, this exact keyword is not being hit very often by these people. And that's what this whole recommendation is. And it's in YouTube and in YouTube competitors. So that's like Vimeo and others. How to start a business coaching business. Okay, that's again one that no one's actually using that right in there, or there's only a few. They're just simply putting in business coaching or coaching a business or starting a coaching business, something like that. Now we are looking at business coaching. And so that's this one, maybe that's a good one for you. How to grow a profitable coaching business online. Now, see, maybe you don't want to be, maybe you are a coach. And so these aren't going to be as good for you. And so maybe you'll want to read about this or watch some of these. But if you're a business coach already, it's you don't want to do how to launch or that. You want to find out about business coaching. And so business coaching program, let's see, there are tips on starting. So a lot of this is about starting a business coaching program. You'll notice down here, from here down, there is no competition or very, very little that's going on. So if you get down here and it says, Well, let's change this a little so that it's not about becoming a business coach. It's finding a great business coach. Okay, now let's go and search for that one. Okay, and I'll show you some other things. How to find a business coach near me. Now it's going through and grabbing the competitors right now and the statistics, but these are some good things to know. It's still looking here. It's getting the statistics, but these are ones that you could do. Now here it says there's 52 million different competitors. Now, some of the competitors are simply an article that looks like it's about this. Sometimes it's all kinds of things, but you'll see they recommend it because that exact thing is not in there. Now, I'll show you how to narrow it down. Okay, how to find a business coach. Now, when you get down here where there's not much in the way of competition, how much does a good business coach cost? Find the best business coach. That's a good one. Find the right business coach. I like that one. How to find a good business coach. Should you get a business coach? How to get maybe these are articles that you would want to write if you're a business coach. And you write these articles about how to get your first, no, you don't want that one. Should you get a business coach? And let people know, tell them the story of that, and then you have finding the best business coach. Only do one of these titles at a time, but together they're going to help add up and push you to the top. And that's what you want. So it's very, if you go in and start looking at these, now here's a couple of them I'm going to tell you about. If you're here in Utah, for example, and it looks like everybody that's here today is in Utah. And so I'm going to, I'm going to go with best business coach in Utah. Let's see what we get. Okay. Business coach. All right, so that's still getting some statistics. There's going to be a little bit of competition on this, but not anywhere near like the international or national that you saw. So, but okay, there's still quite a few. But one of the things you can look at is best business coach in Utah. Okay, 2021. You don't want the 2021 one. So best business coach in Salt Lake City, Utah. Maybe that's a good one. Maybe you want one in American Fork. Now, some people will have put this as one of their keywords for an article or for their website or for a video or something. And it's similar, but it's not 100%. There is a few that are 100%. Because this says that this is only 83% recommended. That means that there are some people with something that is exactly this, but out of this 8,000, it's probably only 2 or 3 that is going to, be American Fork. Business Coach Utah, even that is pretty good. You have a lot of people putting something like that. But if you just simply wrote business coaches in Utah or business coach Utah, you will probably pick up a lot more of the business. So here they've got Long Beach and West Bend and other places, small business Utah. And it goes down. Should you hire a business coach? Should you get a business coach? How to find a business coach. And you'll notice that while there's 32 million references to this here, there is 900 people per month that are going to be going after this. And so these are ways of finding out what you want to write about. Now let's get on from finding the right title and the right article to write about, and let's talk about that writing process. I'm going to stop sharing here. The thing with writing an article is you do need to have the keyword. And once we've got the keyword, you use that as the title, or in the title at least. You also want to have it in several other places in the article. You should never, ever do what is called keyword stuffing. There was people in the past, what they would do is they put words in white on a white background, and it was the keyword, and the computer would see it, but no one else could see it. Well, they called that keyword stuffing because they would put hundreds sometimes of that, in between lines and down at the bottom, wherever there was any space, they would add that in. And that was classified as keyword stuffing. Now, if you have 3% or more of the article has the keyword, and if it's a long tail keyword, that's even better, but you have to have it in there several times, but not more than 3% of the wording. And so that's one of the key things that'll help you, because if you do more than 3%, they classify it as you're trying to do some black hat stuff. And you don't want to have a black hat stuff, because then anything you do that's white hat, it'll always be tarnished, and you'll have to overcome that by finding what's black hat and get rid of it, and then it'll take time for Google to forget. But one of the things is when you get going with it, you just simply start utilizing this. In fact, if we went to that list we had, should you get a business coach, I'm going to use that one a few times. If you do that, that one's an interesting one. So should you use a business or should you get a business coach? And then you start that as the title, but maybe down in it, you say that a couple times in the first section, but in the second section, you put in something that is another set of keywords. Maybe that's accounting business coach. And maybe the third one is CEO business coach, and some others. And so you can tie those in so that you have other things, but then you use business coach more as the keyword for it all. And then you can look through it and utilize that. By doing that, be sure there's not 3% of business coach is in there, but by doing that, it helps you move up in the rankings of business coach, not as fast because there's a lot of traffic against it already, but because you have the big one and it's your main one, it will the title will get to people who put in, should I get a business coach? Or should you get a business coach? And then you just utilize that from time to time. Now, here's one of the other things, is put it at the end of a sentence every once in a while. You just simply add it as part of the sentence structure down in it. By doing that, that will help your not just the keyword, but it also looks at the structure. Now, a few other things that Google looks at is they are looking at punctuation and making sure that you are spelling everything right. If you do not do the right punctuation or spelling, and so you should really be doing a spell check on it and a punctuation checker on it, you will be docked for that. The other thing is, if you want to have your social media, your content on a web, excuse me, I got the hiccups now. This is great. If you want your content to be ranked higher on Google, if it's in a website, it needs to be at least 300 words. The more, the better. In fact, they call it a stacked one when you have 2,000 words, between 1,200, 2,000 or more. This says that you are absolutely one of the top people who know how to talk about this subject. It's like you've written an article on it, is what it is, and they love that. Um, oh, how would you know you are near 3%? I missed that. Okay. Good question, Jeff. One of the things that you can do is just simply, if you're using something like Word or even um, any of the word processing type programs, they a lot of times will tell you how many words are being used. Then what you need to do is count up how many times your keywords are being used. Now, if you have social media, you've got to count how many times those two appear together. And so it becomes less, even though you may say social and media, if they're not together, it doesn't count. So just simply, you have to look at the word count and then find out how many times you use the words social media or, whatever it might be, whatever your long tail keyword is. Long tail keywords are easier to not hit that 3%, but the shorter it is, the harder it is, and you got to make sure you don't go over that. No problem. You're welcome. Okay. One of the other things, though, is have some key subtitles in it. Subtitles. So when you have a bigger article, you start with the title, and then several paragraphs down, have a subtitle, and then another subtitle. And I'll tell you why that's important in a minute. But having subtitles and then marking them, if you're putting it on your website, as H2 tags, that's a great thing to do. Your title should always be the H1 tag. That's a headline tag. Then you've got your H2 is a subheadline tag. You can go H3, H4, all the way down. And some people use all of those for different things. It depends. You can have subtitles within subtitle areas, and that's an H3 tag. And some people they'll do only the big ones, is the big subject lines. They'll do H2s, and then they'll use some specific breakup ones that maybe they're smaller or insignificant, and they'll use H3 and H4 for that. So if you want more information on that, let's get together and I'll give you more about that. But the key here is, or one of the keys is, keep it above 300 words. Now, if you're going to be putting this on social media, it's a different game. In fact, with Instagram and Facebook, you have a limit of 600 words. And they recommend that you keep it between 300 and 600 to be classified as actually a content that Google will pay attention to. So it's still 300 words minimum, but they know that you're never going to go above 600 words because that's your maximum. But by having something between 300 and 600 gives you an added benefit when it's on social media. Both, the social media site will start pushing it more, but so does Google, because now you've become a mini blogger, and a mini blog article is really a strong thing. People like to read something that's quick and easy, and you don't have to be quite the authority that a content one on your website should be. So if you're doing that on social media, it actually gets some credentials above what it is on your website. Now, here's the thing, and I mentioned you should have subtitles in there. One, they do want to have subtitles every time you utilize an article on your website. You don't need a subtitle in your mini blogs on your on social media. They're a little harder to create anyway. But here's what you want to do is, if you're putting something on your website, then if you have subtitles, it shows you where there's other places where people can go in. Let's go back to this, the original thing of, should you get a business coach? And then I said, let's maybe have some subtitles like a financial coach, a CEO coach, a sales coach, and you can have a bunch of those. Well, if you have those as sub headlines, then it gives you an opportunity on social media. You promote the big one, which is the headline, and tell people, hey, this article is about, should you get a business coach? And you use the exact name in it. Put that on the image and put it as the very first line on your social media. Then you go in, and what I usually do is I'll put the first 2 paragraphs of it, or sometimes if the paragraph's longer, the first paragraph, and then I'm going to put, to continue reading, go here, and then I put in the link. Now, if the link is really long, shorten it. And I'm going to tell you a secret. Use something like Pretty Link if you're using WordPress, and you can now do things all the time that says BP Media. So if you go to, I go to one of my sites, and let me grab one up real quick and I'll show you. Okay, so I'm going to show this. Now this is actually a site, but the key is with it. Okay, share. I have made a quick link, and I do this with a lot of things. So bpmedia.com/seminars. That tells people that it's my seminars program. But I also have one that's called SM Challenge. That's social media challenge. So I utilize bpmedia.com all the time. It's getting them so that they're used to seeing BP Media, and then the ending is something else. But what I've done is with Pretty Links, I take a great big long thing and I've made it into a short thing, a short URL for them. So to give you an idea of this, if I go to this and I typed YT, what does YT stand for? YouTube. But YouTube's longer, it's longer to get into it, but not if I want to go to, and I've just created this short link of YT. Suddenly I'm there, and that's it. You see, here's the actual channel address, but I just shortened it to YT under Boyd Peterson, okay? And so that's one of the key things I also recommend doing. And there's some things with that you can do to, when you're trying to promote your blogs, utilize that. So maybe you just say, I'm going to stop this sharing again. If you're putting in about the business coaching, should you get a business coach? Then you can have that as the title, and then the wording, and then this short link, which says bpmedia.com/ and then something short, 4 or 5 letters long, or maybe it makes a word that they'll remember easier, whatever it might be. Like seminars is an easy one for people to remember. Then when you get to, then a few days later, you can then push people to the same article again, but now you're going to start where the second subheadline or the first subheadline is, and maybe that is getting a CEO coach, and put that in. Then the next one is, maybe it's a financial coach, maybe it's a systems coach, maybe it's a sales coach. All of those, if you've written the article correctly, if you have those subheadlines, it allows your social media to push into there in several different areas. And when people go to it, they're going to look at it and say, oh, there's all these other things. Maybe I need to read them too. Otherwise, they can go right to where it talked about the CEO coach, and that's fine. But it's another way to get them to your website and to that content that you've written. And when Google sees you doing that, Google then gives you more likes and will send more people to you, because you have shown on your social media people need to go there, and it'll show your social media and it'll show your website going to that same thing. Okay, so those are all important things. When you're doing your website, or when you're putting your blog in on a website, be sure to optimize it. And I use Yoast as my optimizer, And it goes in and says, oh, you haven't got this, you haven't got that. What's your meta tag? What's your meta description? Meta description is just simply the description that it's going to show others when they're on Google or something else. And it says, okay, this is what it's really about. This is the short synopsis. And they have on there, you know, it starts off red, then it goes orange, and then it goes yellow, and then it goes green for a while. And then it goes, as soon as you hit a certain point, I think it's 200 characters, it starts going orange again and then red. The reason why is Google only shows the first 200 characters. So if you can keep it close to the full thing, you get the best opportunity to attract people's attention. And in that meta description and in the meta keywords, make sure your main keyword, your long tail keyword, is being used there. And so when we have that one that we talked about, should you get a business coach, that should be what the title is. And then in the description, you put, should you really get or should you get a business coach? Maybe you need, and then you talk about the rest of the things that you might be talking about. You know, whether it be, should it be specialized like an SEO coach or not an SEO, a CEO coach or a CFO or marketing director or whatever it might be. Put all those things in there, and that will help you get things going. Okay. And when you look at it, you should also have some things that'll attach to other parts of your website. Maybe you have another article that's similar to this that says, you know, great business coaches in Utah, how to decide which ones are. And maybe you can then say other articles that's going to help you decide on should you get a business coach. You put those at the end of your article, and then it goes over to another article you've written. Maybe you've got 2 or 3 that are similar in nature that help people move along and learn more about coaching and businesses. In my case, it's social media. And I will sometimes have it so that it'll talk about my recipe for social media success, but then that will lead to the social media posting program. It might go to, you know, getting Facebook to work better, how to get more followers on your YouTube or on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. And there's all these different ones. You can have all those things that are giving you links over to your page. And that's a great way of, you know, even though it's internal, it shows that you have a lot of content that all goes along with that one content blog that you've just put in. All right. So the key with writing better and is finding the right subject to write about. Then when you write it, you set it up so that it has subheadlines as well as the the long tail keyword as the title, and getting it so that it's optimized in there. Now, optimization on your website takes longer for it to be recognized by Google or any of the other search engines, Google's who you really care about. But if you do it on a video, it gets optimized much quicker into the Google algorithms. And so I always recommend, hey, do a blog and do a video, and then you can have the video on there and you can have the blog, because there's some people who they don't really want to read. They would rather hear it, and maybe they'll even turn it up to 1.5 times speed so that they can hear it faster. That's okay. As long as they're doing that, then Google recognizes it, and the more ways you can get people to go into it, the better it is. So, and especially if it's on YouTube and your website separately and with the video on both, that will really bring up your social media credentials with Google. Okay. Any questions before I finish here? I have a few minutes left before we're finished with an hour. So I thought I'd ask if you have any questions. Oh, good question. Yes, it can be almost any subject. And so, I was talking to a health coach today, and that health coach was asking me about these things. And we looked up some health coach stuff, or healthy eating is what it was. And we found lots, and it went along with their health coach program, but healthy eating, healthy lifestyle. There was a lot of healthy stuff that we located for them. And so it's easy to utilize tools that I have. And if you want to have uh, more information about these tools, or you want me to look up some things on it so that you can see, hey, maybe I should do some of these titles. What titles are the best? Let me know, and I'll be glad to get on a Zoom call with you, and I will help you figure out what titles would be the best for you. And I can even go through my program, highlight some of them, export them, and send you the file, so you'll have a list of 6 or 7 different titles of articles that you could write, or implementing a couple of them into the same article. So it's up to you. Okay. I don't see any other questions here, so I appreciate you being on today. Would love any feedback. And, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. If you're watching this, whether it's live or you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love to have you go to either my Facebook or my Google My Business and review me. What we are doing right here. This is a training program by BP Media. And so go to bpmedia.com/ then put either GMB, which is Google My Business, review, or you can put FB review, and that will give you right to the review page on each of those that you can give me a review. And I would appreciate that. So anyway, thank you for being here today, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope this has helped you.